When Luna's son was arrested, the world around her collapsed. The boy she had raised, protected, and kept hidden from the web of power and influence in Los Angeles was now at the mercy of a system that didn't care who his family was unless, of course, someone claimed him. And that someone had to be Finn. Not just a doctor, not just a husband to Steffy Forrester, but the man who had, for years, kept the truth buried to protect his perfectly constructed life. Luna's demand was clear and ruthless. If Finn wanted to save her son, his son, he had to step forward. Publicly, legally, irrevocably. He had to claim paternity in court records, on paper, in front of cameras and the press. No more secrets. And with that, he had to sever all ties to Steffy Forrester. No shared home. No shared future. No more pretending. The choice was brutal in its simplicity. Be a father or remain a husband. Not both. Finn was not ready for war. But that's what Luna brought to his doorstep. She didn't just want acknowledgement. She wanted validation, compensation, and above all, retribution for the years her son grew up without a name, without status, without the legacy that should have been his. Steffy had the Forrester name, the house, the family, the security. Luna had silence and shadows. Now the scales had to be balanced. Caught in the middle was Finn, whose sense of right and wrong began to unravel under the weight of fatherhood. He stared into the face of a boy who carried his eyes, his blood, his mistakes. This wasn't a theoretical child. This wasn't a secret tucked away. This was real. A boy sitting behind bars while Finn slept beside Steffy in a home built on deception. Steffy, blindsided by Luna's revelation and the ultimatum, fought to hold onto what was hers. She refused to be collateral damage in Finn's reckoning. She had stood by him through crises, through betrayals and near death. She had mothered his son, Hayes, raised him with love and unwavering loyalty. And now this woman, this Luna, was demanding her husband walk away from his family to chase redemption for a past he barely remembered. But Finn couldn't turn away. He tried. For weeks, he told himself that Steffy was his present, his future. That Luna was a storm from a life he'd moved past. But the guilt gnawed at him, each time he saw Luna visiting their son in jail. Each time he read the court documents. Each time Luna whispered the truth into his conscience, "You're his father. And you're doing nothing." And then came Hayes. Sweet, innocent, and suddenly caught in the crossfire. Steffy drew a hard line. If Finn even considered claiming Luna's son, she would protect Hayes at all costs. That meant legal action. That meant custody. That meant war. The pressure mounted. Finn's once solid foundation began to crumble. At work, he was distracted. At home, he was distant. The image of the perfect family cracked with every unanswered question, every tense silence. Steffy could see it in his eyes, the doubt, the guilt, the gravitational pull toward a truth that would destroy them. Then came the hearing. Luna didn't blink. She arrived dressed in white, defiant and cold, her son in handcuffs beside her. The courtroom was a battleground. Reporters flooded the hallway. The Forresters sent lawyers. The Finnegans sent silence. Only Finn stood at the center, torn in two. He took the stand. "I am the father," he said. The words hit Steffy like a sledgehammer. She turned to leave, but the courtroom erupted. The judge nodded. The paperwork began. And just like that, the lie was over. That night, Finn didn't go home. He went to a hotel. Then to a lawyer. Then to Luna's apartment. Everything moved quickly. Public announcements. Statements to the press. Legal custody petitions. The Forrester PR machine tried to clean it up, spin it, bury it. But the damage was done. Finn had crossed the line. Steffy retaliated. She filed for separation, then for full custody of Hayes. She claimed emotional instability, betrayal, moral conflict. She had support Ridge, Brooke, even Thomas. They circled around her like hawks. Finn was no longer the gentle healer. He was the man who chose a secret family over the one he built in the open. And yet, something shifted. Luna's son, no longer a nameless statistic, found his footing. Charges were dropped. Finn's legal team worked miracles, aided by public sympathy. The boy took Finn's name, moved into a better school, got therapy. He smiled again, called Finn Dad, and slowly, painfully, Finn began to believe he had done the right thing. But the cost was staggering. Steffy moved on, cold and methodical. She cut off all contact except for Hayes. She blocked Finn from her phone, from her life. She leaned into the Forrester empire like a shield, throwing herself into work, fashion weeks, international campaigns. She reminded the world she was more than a scorned wife. She was a queen, and queens don't cry. Still, Finn watched her from a distance. Saw Hayes on weekends, each time a knife twist. He missed the quiet breakfasts, the sleepy bedtime stories, the family dinners, the small, sacred things he'd sacrificed on the altar of truth. Luna, meanwhile, stepped into the vacuum. She didn't pretend it was love. She didn't try to recreate Steffy's life. But she gave Finn space to be a father. She welcomed him into a world where their son wasn't a scandal, but a gift. The connection between them, once built on secrecy, morphed into something steadier. Not quite romance. Not quite redemption. Something in between. And the Forrester-Finnegan legacy? It fractured. Ridge disowned Finn. Lee, Finn's mother, refused to acknowledge Luna or the child. Brooke spread rumors. Eric distanced the brand from the scandal. The family dinners became war zones. Thanksgiving turned cold. But the boy, the reason it all began, flourished. And Finn? He stood in the ruins of the life he once knew, uncertain if the truth had set him free or condemned him. He had saved his son, but lost his wife. Broken his vows, but found his conscience. The world saw a man who chose one child over another. Who walked out on a legacy. Who tore the Forrester name from his chest and stitched on a new one. But maybe that's what being a father means. Maybe it's not about blood or name or power. Maybe it's just about choosing the harder truth when the easy lie would let you sleep at night. Even if it means sleeping alone. When word reached Liam that Steffy was in danger, he didn't hesitate. One phone call. One text. That was all it took for him to drop everything and board the first flight to Los Angeles. The tension in his chest wasn't just about Steffy, it was about everything. The years. The unfinished conversations. The love that never really disappeared, no matter how many times it fractured. As the plane landed, Liam's only thought was getting to her before it was too late. He didn't know the full story, only that something was happening, something violent, something involving Finn, Luna, and a house that was supposed to be a sanctuary. The stone house on the cliff had always been a symbol. For Steffy, it was a haven. For Finn, it was a chance to rewrite his past. But when Liam burst through the door, the scene was already chaos. Voices shouting. Luna was there, unhinged, her hand shaking as she held a gun. Her eyes locked on Steffy, then flicked to Finn, then back again. She screamed something incomprehensible, rage and heartbreak twisted together. Finn tried to calm her, stepping between Luna and Steffy, shielding his wife with his body. Liam took one step forward. One breath too many. Then the shot rang out. It wasn't planned. It wasn't calculated. But it was real. The sound cracked through the stone walls like thunder, and for one suspended moment, everything stopped. Finn's arms were outstretched, bracing for impact, but the bullet never hit him. It hit Liam. Time collapsed. Liam fell hard against the polished floor, blood spreading beneath him. Steffi screamed his name, crawling toward him, her hands trembling as she pressed against the wound. Finn dropped to his knees, his medical training taking over in seconds, but his mind was fractured. He had meant to protect Steffi. Instead, he had watched the man who once loved her take a bullet meant for someone else. Luna stood frozen. The gun slipped from her fingers and clattered to the ground. Her eyes wide, her lips parted in shock. No words, no tears, just silence. Sirens followed. Police, EMTs, the media. Everything became a blur of lights and commands and gurneys. Liam was unconscious, his pulse weak. He was rushed into surgery with Finn riding alongside, barking instructions through blood-stained hands. Steffi watched them disappear, her mind unraveling with the trauma of what had just happened. Liam had come to save her, and now he might die. The aftermath shattered everyone. Liam survived, barely. The bullet had lodged dangerously close to his spine. Surgeons fought for hours. Finn assisted where he could, guilt etched into every movement. When Liam opened his eyes in the recovery room days later, Steffi was there. Silent, pale, her fingers laced through his. He couldn't speak, not yet, but he didn't have to. Their eyes held everything: grief, confusion, gratitude, unfinished love. Back at the house, investigators pieced together the scene. Luna was arrested, handcuffed and silent, charged not only with assault, but with attempted murder, * more than one count star. The DA's office had questions. Who had she really meant to shoot? Finn? Steffi? Both? Was this spontaneous or premeditated? And what pushed Luna, a woman long considered quiet and calculated, to finally break? Under pressure, the details spilled out. Luna had felt cornered, trapped in a web of secrets. Her son's arrest, Finn's public rejection, Steffi's victory in the courtroom and the media. Every day, Luna watched the life she believed belonged to her be paraded by Steffi like a trophy. Then came the confrontation. Steffi had taunted her, according to Luna. Accused her of manipulating Finn. Accused her of using her son as leverage. The words turned into screams. The screams turned into threats. Luna snapped. The gun, she claimed, wasn't meant for Steffi. She brought it to scare them, just to show she wasn't afraid. But the moment spiraled too fast. Emotions detonated. And then the shot. The court didn't care about nuance. Finn, once a beacon of calm, spiraled too. He replayed the moment every night. The way Liam stepped forward. The way the bullet found him instead. Finn knew that in some twisted irony, Liam had saved Steffi. And Finn had failed. Their marriage buckled. Steffi couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. She hovered at Liam's side for hours each day, neglecting everything else. Her guilt devoured her. She had hated Liam for so long after the betrayals, the love triangle, the drama. But when it counted, he had come back. He had stood between her and death. Finn grew resentful. Not of Liam, but of how Steffi now looked at him. With gratitude. With tenderness. Something she hadn't shown Finn since the moment he admitted the truth about Luna's son. The wound between them had never fully healed. And now, with Liam's blood still fresh in their memories, it deepened beyond repair. Luna's trial became a media circus. The Forresters testified. So did the Spencers. Luna's legal team tried to argue diminished capacity, emotional duress, character assassination by the press. But the facts remained. She fired a weapon in a domestic dispute. She hit someone. that someone almost died. And the man she had claimed to love, the father of her son, was the very man she tried to kill or protect or threaten. No one could make sense of it anymore. The courtroom became a battleground. Ridge sat beside Steffy. Brooke beside Liam. Hope stood in the hallway, torn and lost, unable to face Liam's pain after everything they had survived. Finn testified, but his voice cracked as he spoke. He didn't try to defend Luna, but he didn't condemn her either. That ambiguity haunted the jury. In the end, Luna was found guilty. Multiple counts. Sentencing delayed, but heavy time expected. As she was led away, she looked at Finn one last time. No words, just a stare. Accusatory. Hollow. Heartbroken. Steffy made her decision. She left the stone house. She took Hayes, packed her bags, and moved into Eric's estate. She needed distance. From the trauma, from the memories, from Finn. She didn't speak of divorce, not yet. But her silence said everything. Finn was no longer her home. And Liam? He recovered, slowly. Physical therapy. Daily pain. But he walked again. And with each step, Steffy was there. Something rekindled between them, not romance, not yet, but something sacred. Shared survival. Unspoken understanding. They had both seen death, felt it graze their skin. And they came back from it, together. The Forrester family quietly restructured around the crisis. PR teams spun the story as best they could, highlighting Liam's heroism, downplaying Finn's involvement. Eric went back to the boardroom. Ridge tightened security. Thomas drew further into his designs, his obsession. Hope faded from the narrative entirely. And Finn? He stood alone. His career suffered. Patients saw the headlines. Trusted him less. Colleagues whispered. The hospital suspended him for a time, pending review. The only thing he had left was his son with Luna, the one bright spot in a storm that never seemed to end. He visited Liam once, unannounced. They didn't fight. They didn't argue. They barely spoke. Finn simply said, "Thank you." Liam nodded. That was all. There was no forgiveness. Just a fragile truce born from mutual wounds. Time passed, but nothing returned to normal. Because normal was gone. Luna sat in prison, awaiting final sentencing. Liam limped through life, rebuilding from the edge of death. Steffy rebuilt her world brick by brick. Finn wandered through his own wreckage, haunted by the choice he never really made and the bullet that never should have hit anyone at all. The bullet meant for Steffy changed everything. Not because it missed, but because of who caught it,